Welcome everyone to our law firm leadership collaboration circles. I'm liking the every week format. I think it's going to be good to touch base, but I've kind of missed you guys a little bit. Used to seeing your faces every week. So we wanted to focus this, the next sort of 6 weeks on what are some really practical ideas, best practices, tips and tricks. I think it's really cool to be hearing what other firms are doing, and it just inspires ideas for how to do things differently in our firms. Or maybe we're the ones sharing that we do this particular thing really well, like billing or intake or whatever. And so this week specifically, we're focusing on billing best practices. And billing, as we know, it's just such a critical component to every firm. It's how we make money. Impressions are really important. It's how we get in trouble sometimes with the client and or with the bar. And just a really critical function, but it's amazing to me how much sometimes firms just aren't putting any time or effort, or it just kind of goes on autopilot. It just keeps going and we don't take a step back to see how could we actually be getting better business results if we improve our billing process. So it's been a couple weeks since we've checked in. So before we jump in, I think it's really important that we start off acknowledging good news. Anyone want to share anything good that's happened in the last couple weeks? We've had more weeks for good things to happen now since we've last talked.
Well, I'm moving, which is exciting. After being quarantined alone during most of the pandemic, I decided it's time to go back to roommate land. So I'm pretty excited about that. My new place has outdoor space, 2 different patios, one that's off of my bedroom. And so I'm very excited about that and the new beginnings and not being so lonely.
Congrats. Anybody else?
Jamie, I have good news to share. There's a firm out of Belleville called Title IX Solutions. They work with educational institutions, not only nationwide, but actually internationally, because if you have U.S. students attending foreign campuses, there can be Title IX consequences. Title IX is the law that says you can't discriminate. If you receive federal funds and you're an educational institution, you can't discriminate on the basis of gender. And some new regs came out, and the regs call for mediation and for hearings. And so this firm reached out to USA&M, where I mediate, and said, hey, we need to partner, with a group that has some experience in Title IX and, offer your services, almost as a partnership with us. So it's super exciting because I worked doing Title IX work for, more than 10 years. So it's really something I feel like is in my wheelhouse. And we're doing a webinar for all these universities in August. And we're doing a role play, and I get to play the unreasonable college administrator. But I'm also, speaking and so it's a really cool business opportunity. We'll see if it actually leads to any, dollars.
It's cool though.
Yeah, it's cool.
You'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know what date that is so I can publicize it for you.
Will do.
Anybody else? Good news? Anybody?
Bueller?
Yeah, I had Ferris. I had 4 new clients or potential clients call me yesterday, which is uptick. I mean, that's really good. 2 of them were lawyer friends of mine. One of them needed some patent work himself, and I have been posting on Facebook. So I do this 12-week year thing with a few other lawyers, and they all are big into Facebook and doing videos and all that stuff. And after a lot of delay, I finally started posting historical patents with a little blurb about them maybe a couple months ago. And, it prodded the one guy to, think of me. and to call. So, I mean, you know, he mentioned it before he got into what he was doing. So, but there, you know, I didn't expect it to bear any fruit.
That's awesome. That's great. You know, people, I think it's really easy to underestimate the impact of social media. And coincidentally, our next collaboration circle is talking about social media tips and tricks and best practices and do's and don'ts. So that's awesome. It's very cool. It's amazing. Well, let's go ahead and dive in. Is there anything else that anyone else want to share about a good thing? All right. Let's dive into billing best practices.
This is
go ahead,
Chris.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I usually average about 1 lead a week to our attorneys, and in the last week I've gotten 3 leads, so that's good news. So, but the trends continue even during COVID, so that's good news.
That's fabulous news. That's awesome. Billing best practices. I would love to start the conversation with, you know, are there any challenges? What are the challenges? Because we know there are challenges. What are the challenges that you all see with invoicing and billing in your own practice? And then let's talk about what are you doing really well, right? And ideas for how we can solve some of those challenges. I've got, of course, my notes and my ideas, but the power here is us all collaborating. So let's start with what are the challenges that you experience in the billing process in your particular practice or firm?
You said challenges, right?
Yep.
You know, my number one challenge. Okay. My number one challenge has been since I went out on my own, doing the, you know, getting my time in, you know, written down. Because I use Clio, once it's in there, the bills are very easy. For a while, I was using a piece of software that used the little puck microphone, you know, for that Alexa puck microphone, and it automatically, you know, you could dictate what, you know, and it would enter it right into your time sheet, and that was outstanding. But and it would remind you to do it and everything. But the client, they went belly up, so I don't have that piece of software anymore.
Getting the time in, yes. Challenge number one. Getting the time in. Who else? What challenges do you all have?
Well, closely related to that is some not believing it's as important as others do. So, in getting their time in. And other than that, we're pretty good about regularly billing. Of course, the other thing that relates to that as well is actually collecting, because there are some who believe collection is not as important either.
Ooh, that's the next topic after social media.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of my solutions to, you know, getting time in is to, I try to do everything flat fee. So when I finish a project, I just put it in, and I don't do the by the hour stuff very much anymore.
So,
Yeah.
So Dave, whenever you bill flat fee, do you bill it all at the end? So you don't bill anything at the beginning?
Right. And I know other people will do, like a trust and estates lawyer I'm in the 12-week year with, she bills half of it when the client, when they, when she delivers the will, and then half of it when it's signed. I tend to ask for 100% advance. So I don't have problems with collection, and I just bill it at the end.
So, okay, so what you're saying is they pay you up front, you put it in trust, then you pull it all after the work is done.
Right.
Okay, I thought you were saying you don't even like bill them or collect any dollars until after the whole thing's done. So that makes
No.
sense. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else challenges? Have you, for those of you using your trust account heavily, have you seen a change at all in people's abilities to replenish during COVID, or has that pretty much stayed steady?
We're still seeing it come in, but it's going to drop at some point. That's clear. Just don't know when.
Yeah, we keep saying that too for our clients, and I don't know if we keep saying it and it's not going to happen, or if we keep saying it and it is, it's just a moving target. That's what's really hard to wrap my arms around right now.
Yeah, whether or not it's going to be similar to some of the other business cycles we see, or whether it's going to be more severe.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
I've put people on payment plans too, and so far they've been pretty good about it. You know, pay me $250 a month, which you know isn't too bad. But if you file an application, you know it might be a $10,000 bill,
Yeah.
and $250 is a lot of months. And if
Take
the
a few
first
years to
action
get that off. Yeah.
and the first action comes in before you know they've paid it off, you know I'm worried. Because the first action is usually a rejection, you know, that you have to fight.
Right.
And I'm worried that, you know, they'll cut bait at that point.
What about, I'd love everyone to share with us, how many days does it usually take you all to get your bills out to your clients? Like a week, 2 weeks, few days? Like at what point in the month do you usually push out your bills?
we always try to bill within the first 7 days.
Try to, but what is that pretty typical within the first week, Randy?
It is occasionally if there's a holiday or something like that. Occasionally it might get pushed back, but certainly I can't remember any time not going out before the 10th. You know, so between 7 and 10 days.
Anybody else?
I try to do it at the end of a project, and then I have some stuff that isn't project oriented, and I have a reminder to do it on the 10th and the 25th because my wife likes to see money in the account before you know there's bill paying and all that.
That's a fair point. Twice a month billing. Chris, do you even know at Carmody, like when your billings go out?
No, being in business development, I'm not that close to it. I do know our challenge is obviously getting, you know, our 55 attorneys to put their time in. But other than that, I'm not that close to it.
It's amazing what telling attorneys that you're going to pay them by the hour instead of their salary will do in getting them to get their time in.
Mm-hmm.
Trust me, I know.
That goes for just
Right,
not
right.
attorneys as well.
Try getting 300 lawyers in 40 different states to get their time in by Mondays at 9 a.m. Having a really assertive billing person helps a lot too.
I know some firms have tried financial penalties,
Yeah.
withholding of income. Some of the Chicago firms that I'm aware of, where I know people well enough.
Yeah.
That's problematic in national firms because some states prohibit it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yep. It is a challenge for sure. I have a friend who's a lawyer. They're not a client, but about 30 lawyers. And we were having a discussion about billing. And they typically get their bills out, you know, with the 2 to 3 week mark, right? Like 15 to 21 days, which is crazy town to me. There's no reason why bills should take a couple weeks to get out. And I think that, you know, when that happens, Sometimes it's due to, chasing people down to actually get their time in. But a lot of times it actually has to do with just an inefficient process. So, what have you all seen in terms of best practices and what is helpful for keeping that billing process smooth and efficient?
So I've kind of got a case outline that I follow, right? You do your intake and you've got your checklist for your intake, and then you deliver the services, and then your closing procedures, and that includes billing. So it's just sort of one continuous checklist from bringing the client in to finishing up the service.
So if you have this checklist, you have some standard billing for each item on the checklist?
No, it's more of like it's not a standard billing. It's just like the line would say, make sure to bill within a few days of delivering the final project. So I think my workflow is actually a lot like yours, David, where it's a lot of flat fee, a lot of project-based stuff. So it's kind of easier for me from that perspective to make it just a line item, say, deliver project, send out bill.
It's more like an ongoing process for you, Mike, than like a once a month process is what you're saying. Like it's integrated into the life cycle of the case that you're actually working on.
Right.
That makes sense. Yeah, I get that. That makes sense. Are you all mostly doing digital billing? Randy, no.
Yeah, I mean, there are some people that, a lot of my bank clients, for example, will do it that way, and we will certainly do it that way if they request. But generally, we send out bills by U.S. mail.
Why still send out bills by mail?
I don't have an answer to that. It's not my department. Because many of the things, the cynical answer is many of the things I've suggested over the years for better efficiency, there was a pushback on for one reason or another.
It's hard. I mean, I totally get it. I mean, when you've been doing something, the same way for so long, it's hard to think about change for sure. I mean, I was talking to a potential client recently, and we were talking about, we don't take on clients unless we do digital billing. It's just, we're virtual. It's efficient. That's how we have efficiency of pricing. And the conversation we had was really an interesting conversation around, what's the, is this a sacred cow, right? The mailing of invoices. I love it. I mean, you hear it all the time. Oh, well, our clients want physical bills. That's actually an assumption that's usually untrue. Typically, the clients don't actually care at all. It's not that they care one way or another, but we get it stuck in our heads. Oh, well, I do elder care. And so it's an older generation that wants their physical bill. What I have found with our clients and in my past is that when you don't give the client the option, meaning we automatically do digital billing, it's more of the opt-in. If you want the physical mail, you'll find under 5% of your clients actually want the physical bill. So you're spending so much time and so much money for 95% of your clients that actually don't care. And of the 95%, I don't know what the percentage is, but many of them actually do prefer the digital because it's more of a nuisance to then have to go to a website to make a payment or to write out a check to put in an envelope and post it themselves and mail it back. One of the suggestions I was going to make or differentiators was digital versus automated. So a lot of firms are saying, oh yeah, we do digital billing now. And then once we scratch down a little bit, that's the surface, I realize they're individually emailing bills to their clients one by one by one by one by one. That's technically digital, but it's not automated, and it's still an incredibly inefficient process. And what I think is pretty amazing is so many of these case management and billing software programs today, they're very inexpensive. I mean, if you think about the power and the gusto that you get with Clio or with MyCase or Practice Panther or FileVine or any of them, you name it, the power that you get for like $100 a month and the efficiency are $120 a month, it's really pretty inexpensive, especially if you've got 10 lawyers or less in your firm. to keep everyone efficient, keep your billings flowing. And what I mean by automation versus digital is, many of these programs now, you can batch send your bills. So even if once a month you're sending out 20 invoices, even if it's not a high volume, to actually be selecting all 20 and just clicking send is an incredibly powerful tool and saves so much time. Also, automated approvals, right? So if you've got, okay, this is the billing attorney or the lead attorney or the originating attorney that reviews all the bills before they go out to the clients. Many of these platforms allow you to, in an automated way, just click send to these originating attorneys, and it sends them an email with a list of all the bills that they need to go in and review and approve. That is automated. And as soon as they've approved it, they can select the status as approved. So then the billing person knows all those bills that are ready to be sent out and can batch send them instead of sending them individually. So I thought I would mention, or at least just differentiate, digital versus automated, because they are two very different things. And anytime you can have that automated workflow process, it's going to be helpful to making things more efficient. And I know sometimes there's, a resistance to changing case management platforms, or we've been just doing bills, I'm just seeing this note, sorry, in the chat about paper bills.
Yes. I was just going to bring with rural clients, especially.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. My encouragement is just always don't rest on assumptions that have been true for a long time. Because it's really easy to do that and just think, oh yeah, we can't do that because of XYZ. But many times you actually can, and the problem is smaller than you realize. But sometimes it's not, right? Sometimes you do have to keep doing the physical bills. So I just thought I would kind of differentiate. If you're not using a billing system or a case management system, I mean, they're just amazingly powerful in what they can do for helping you to send out bills faster, collect faster, real time, see what work you have going on, and to be managing that case timeline in an effective way. Actually, to Mike's point, Mike, are you using a case management software?
No, I just I work through Excel and my own little systems.
OMG. Let me tell you this. Okay. Legal back office, just to be clear, we don't do referral fees. We don't do rev share or fee sharing with any case management platforms. That's because we want our opinion to count for something. If we tell you, hey, we think you should use this system, we want it to be because we actually think you should use that system, not because they're paying us money on the side as a consultant to tell you that you should, right? Make sense? I'm only saying that because there are some software programs like MyCase specifically and Clio that have these workflow templates. So like you were talking about your case checklist, you can create a template of tasks specific to, and this might be good for you too, Dave, in the work that you do. Even if your cases, when you're doing something specific, like you're registering a business or setting up an entity, many of the tasks are the same, right? Regardless of the client, with some nuances. You can create that task list and you can launch the template on that particular matter in your software program, and it will auto-populate all the tasks and deadlines that you've given it. So if you want to set like an end date goal for that case, it can be a goal, right? We know it's not exact. And then you say, okay, I want this done X amount of days after retention, this done X amount of weeks after client retention, this done X amount of months after client retention. Every day when you log in, it'll show you, here are the tasks I need to do today for all of my cases. And it just keeps you so organized, so you don't have a separate document that you're checking, right? I mean, you can use it for document management for the file, use it for client communications, kind of get out of your email if your email's overwhelming. So I'm just mentioning that if you're someone that's a project plan driven, task driven sort of person, that's another automation that's super cool. And especially if you're starting to work with paralegals and legal assistants, or you've got associates that are working on your same files, the power behind these templated project plans, if you will, or task systems are awesome when you've got multiple people touching multiple matters. So, and I think a lot of people too will have a software program that maybe does some of these things, but they don't even realize it or roll it out. Or it can be scary to think about converting to a new software, but then you end up spending so much time and you get so inefficient in the software that you currently have just because you don't want to make the change. So anyway, that's another little tip that several of these case management platforms have that automation even in your tasks associated with the cases as well.
Jamie, which software program are you specifically talking about?
Clio, in my case, both have that capability. I think Practice Panther does as well, actually. I'm just like less familiar with it.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, you can create these templates, and then at the launch of the case, you can launch that project plan associated with that case, and it'll have all the tasks you've pre-populated.
And another note, we have a client that I would say maybe 50 to 75% of their client base is rural and they don't have email, so they haven't been able to leave like Google reviews and stuff, but they've been able to use the online trust account system through MyCase and have had a lot of success through that, and handle billing and stuff through that despite not being too email savvy or not having the best internet access. It's been really great for people to use on mobile devices, we found. So that's for anyone that is dealing, I don't know who it was, the iPhone person that is not named, that was a success for our clients that are dealing with rural clients.
Any other ideas you guys have or things you've seen in billing that you think is incredibly helpful for your billing processes?
How many people use LawPay or some other credit card-based payment system?
I think almost all of our clients use LawPay.
Yeah.
Dave, I'm glad you brought that up because credit card payments are an issue with mediation firms or USANM because the dollar amounts are high, and so that 3% is high, and it really becomes an issue that's not easily resolved.
I offer it, but I throw the percentage on the client, as a separate line item.
That's what we've done. I think they don't like it.
Yeah,
Nobody likes it.
But personally, I don't like it either, to be frank.
Yeah.
These days, it's a cost of doing business. It's better just to adjust your hourly rate by $1 an hour or $2 an hour, and the client not feel like they're being nickeled and dimed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and the statistics prove though that you're gonna get paid faster if you take electronic payments. So it's in your best interest in your cash flow to be taking electronic payments.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about this again when we do the focus on AR and collections, but nothing drives me more crazy than getting a physical bill in the mail. And on the bottom of the invoice, it says, to pay by credit card, please call 1-800-555-1122. And I'm like, holy hell. Now I got to pick up the phone, make a phone call, talk to someone at the front desk, give them my credit card over the phone, and then they enter it and they enter it wrong, then they have to call me back. I mean, at a minimum, put a website. If you're still going to do that, put a website at the bottom that people can go to the website themselves. It's still kind of a nuisance, right? Because then they still have to take another step. So you're making it harder for the client to pay you. Why do we make it difficult for our clients to pay us?
I agree. I know.
Why do we make it so difficult?
Well, and our business model is changing because for so long, mediations and arbitrations were always in person. So many times the lawyers brought the check to the mediation, and handed a paper check in. Now we're virtual. So there is no, I'll give it to you at the event itself. It's a struggle.
Yeah.
We've taken the approach, Jamie, that we just eat it as a business expense because we found exactly what you said starting years ago is that people, we get paid and we make it up, particularly for the other clients. I do a lot of flat fee work, but for the hourly people who let people get behind, it's often a good way to get paid sooner. And, it's often something we found early on that if you have attorneys that are interested in it, interested in getting paid, and some of our staff are pretty good about it too, is they just tell people when they're on the phone, when they call in for something or they call in for their bill, it's, hey, we'll take your credit card. And it's, you're putting people on the spot, but, this is a business. And so we take a lot of them that way. And, we do, some of the cards have really high fees, of course, but, we just need it as a business expense and we take it. So,
you know what I encourage people to do too, especially if you're in an equity partnership group or you've got a management committee that's trying to make this decision, is I always like to press a little bit and say, well, have you done the financial analysis? And most of the time it's no. People are just so scared of the credit card fees. But when you start adding up, okay, what are the man hours associated with stuffing envelopes with bills and invoices? This is both digital sending of bills and the collections, right? But how much time is it taking for people to print invoices, stuff them in an envelope, and put postage on them? What are your paper costs associated with printing? What are your envelope costs? What's your postage costs, right? And then all of that added up compared to your credit card fees, how does it relate? And if it's far less to be printing them and mailing them, which it usually isn't, if it's far less, then you have to weigh, okay, how quickly do we get paid? You can start measuring, okay, what's our days in AR? Meaning from the time we send out invoices to the day we get paid on average, what is that average? So if we're sending out physical invoices, we don't take electronic payments, it typically takes us 22 days to get paid, let's say. And then you start doing it digitally. These statistics say you'll improve that by 40%. So people are going to be paying 40% faster. So you're going to be getting the cash in your bank faster for the work you've already done. So, I think to just do the financial analysis, if you're in a situation where it's not up to you, right? And you've got other people that are making this decision and it's hard to kind of move it forward, that's a way to go about it, is just do the dollars and cents. I mean, just add it all up and compare it to what the credit card fees would be. And it's not that you're not taking checks. I mean, some people are going to, you're still going to be paid. Some people like to still pay by check. It's just that you're giving them another opportunity to pay. And that financial analysis typically proves out to actually be less expensive to be taking credit cards than to be still pushing cash and check payments.
Do you find that, and I'm thinking of, small businesses that might have, the size that have 100 employees, whether they're paying by credit card, is that an easy thing for them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, and you can, I believe through LawPay and several others, people don't have to pay by credit card. I mean, they can put it on their debit card or they can ACH too, where it's synced up directly to their bank account. So, ACH is another way, and ACH is typically free. I mean, a lot of banks, allowing for free, no fees. Yeah.
Yep. And we offer that too. And of course we'll do a wire transfer if it's on a large amount, because there is a fee with that. It's $25. If you're getting a lot of money in, that's
sure.
Again, that's no more time to have to deal with it. You just get it in. But yeah, we have quite a few ACHs as well.
Yep. I mean, I haven't seen any difference in the statistics from like a bigger firm versus a small firm. I mean, the statistics pretty much are the same. And I mean, it really doesn't, what do you have to lose, I guess, is usually my question, is just change and getting used to the change. In situations where you're in a rural community, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, sometimes there are just people that don't have access. But what do you have to lose? People are just used to paying these days on their phone and through electronic methods. And I don't think there's much of a downside other than the fees, and start doing it and see how it goes, And gosh, it takes out all the administration. So I get kind of annoyed, legal back office, we use QuickBooks Online, collect payments through QuickBooks Online. It's all digital, automated. But I have to pay fees to QuickBooks. I pay QuickBooks fees for every payment that comes in. But when that payment comes in, I don't have to sign the check, scan the check, even if I'm using my mobile device to do mobile deposit, anyone who sends me a check, I have to stamp it, sign it, take a picture of the front, take a picture of the back, upload it. Sometimes it doesn't sync over exactly right to QuickBooks as to who the payment's for. If I've got multiple clients paying the same amount, even though paying the QuickBooks fees, when it's paid through QuickBooks, the payment automatically syncs up to their invoice. It marks it as paid, and now it's not overdue anymore. I don't have to touch it. I don't even have to do anything in it. I get automated notifications when the money's coming in. This payment has been made. Here's when it will be deposited in your account. It just does it. It does it all for me. I don't have to physically do anything. So it takes out a lot of the administration. And if you look at the fees, and I mean, how much time would it take me to do those deposits on a regular basis? So.
Let me ask one other, you're talking about how many days do you give your clients to pay your bills? 30 days, 45 days?
I do 30 or 15, and that's what I've seen for a lot of our clients. The more, I would say, in my experience, and you all can jump in, but some of your lawyers are more risk adverse than others in giving the clients the time to review the bill, before it would be due. I know some firms that literally just, they pull the money same day that they send out the invoices. So the client doesn't really have time to review the bill. They can always dispute it, obviously, but the money's already out of trust and into operating. And that dispute process is, the money would be pulled back if there was some sort of arrangement put in place or something. So, I've just seen it being different across the board. And whether you're taking on trust deposits or you're not taking on the trust deposit, and you're just billing all the fixed fees at one time. I've seen it all over the place. Anybody else want to jump in? How much time do you give people to pay?
I don't know, 5, 10, 12 years. After the statute runs.
You're hilarious.
I do 30 days. I give people 30 days, and most of I've not had many problems, fortunately, but I have noticed that in the last few months, people have taken closer to the 30 days than, 6 months ago, they may have taken a week or two.
Charlotte says she bills on the 1st and she makes the bills due on the 20th.
Yeah, our bills on their face say 30 days, but our good business clients pay them then, but not everybody else does.
Sure.
I have a quick question. What's the value in adding due in X days as opposed to just saying like due upon receipt?
I think from the lawyer's perspective, it depends on when you're pulling the funds, right? For people that don't pull funds from trust until that day 15 or that day 30, you're ethically giving the client the time to review the bill, which many, bar associations say is important. So the client has time to review it and dispute anything before you would pull the money. I also think that if you're dealing with business clients that have an accounting department that's got a cadence of payments, you're more likely to get paid on that cadence because it goes into a system. It's marked as due on the 15th or due on the 30th, and you can consistently expect to get that payment on that cadence. The due upon receipt is just going to drive up your AR, and then now you're going to have an AR process where you have to continually follow up. And when do you start the AR process, right, of what's owed to you? Do you start following up 1 week after because it's due upon receipt and you haven't gotten it yet? I don't know. Those are my thoughts on it. Anybody else have any thoughts?
That was really helpful. Thanks.
Yeah.
Along those lines, most of my clients all my clients are business clients, and it's almost just marketing that I understand them, right? Like everybody in business gets an invoice or sends out invoices, and it's never due on receipt. Part of the business cycle is you have time to review, time to look at it, and so they they get bills all the time from vendors that are, net 30, net 45. And so if I were to send a bill that says due upon receipt, they would just come back to me and say, well, why is yours due upon receipt? Everything else that I get time to review it. So it's almost like a marketing thing, like that I understand business works a certain way.
Sure, that makes sense too. That's good input. Charlotte also asked, do you recommend charges, like late charges or interest on late payments? I'd like to know what you guys think. I know my experience, but Kim, you say yes?
I mean, I don't represent individual clients anymore, but when I did, I thought having a late fee provision in my engagement agreement was super important. And there were times where I would just have to say, I don't want to charge you a late fee, but you got to pay.
Yeah, I don't put in, I put in the 30-day, and if clients have some issue and I'm giving them a payment plan, then I put on prime plus 1%, and I do that in a written agreement, but I try not to.
I will say that if you're going to charge late fees, I mean, I don't see anything ethically wrong with that because, I mean, essentially you're loaning the client money. If they put it on their credit card and not paid off their credit card, they're going to be paying interest on their credit card, right? So you're essentially the credit card. You're the loaner, you're the bank, right? I don't see a problem with that ethically. You've provided a service, they've agreed to that service, and they've agreed to your hourly rate, and they've agreed to pay on that cadence. So when they don't pay on that cadence, you've effectively loaned them money that they'd otherwise be paying interest on. I do think that interest obviously should be reasonable, or you might have a bar issue. But my other recommendation was going to be, it's all about efficiency. So if it's something you have to keep up with manually, it's going to become a nuisance. And many times you actually, like my case, I know does an automated interest or automated fixed fee late payments for past due bills. I think Clio does as well. Actually, the second it goes into overdue status, on the next bill, it can charge interest. So looking for a system that will do it for you would be really important if you're going to. So you just don't have to manage the administration around it. Now, if your practice is fairly small, it may not feel that unmanageable. But that was just one thing I was going to mention is if you're not already using a software program, like before you would start applying it, just make sure it doesn't create inefficiencies in your process, because then it may not be worth the interest that you earn if it's too cumbersome. Good question, though.
Yeah, we charge interest on accounts past 30 days. It's part of our written fee agreement. People, we can turn it on or turn it off, but by default it's on. So
Yeah.
What's your interest rate or fees?
our contractual rate is 18%. We charge them 9%.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yep.
That's a high number, Andy. I've never.
It is a high number. It's a pretty good incentive, and it gives you some flexibility to work with people.
There's a statutory max, as I recall,
Yeah,
in
I thought
Missouri
so.
that isn't 18%.
Oh, is that it? Okay.
No, I don't think it is. I think it's more like 9.
Oh, Randy's in Illinois. Illinois, is known for squandering its taxpayers' dollars. So things are like
among other things.
Well, cool. We're coming up at the end of the call here. I think this has been a great discussion. Sarah, I think originally our next call was supposed to be about social media, right?
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering.
We can flip it for accounts.
I think we should swap the weeks. I should have thought of that. And I think the next time we talk, we should talk about collections and AR best practices, because there really are, because I think it just connects really well to this topic. So we can push out this video to everyone just to prep for even the next time that we talk about the AR and collection stuff. I think we should swap the dates and topics. What do you guys think? I think it just makes a lot of sense to stay in the flow. I should have thought of that earlier, but okay, cool. We'll do that.
I agree. Getting back, there is a legal interest rate and usury limit and a judgment rate in Illinois.
What is it?
Well,
Yeah,
the
the
legal,
judgment rate's 9%.
exactly, and so is the usury limit. So I think that's probably why you do the 9%.
We do the 9% because basically we've said, look, you agreed to 18% because we don't view it as a loan, even though it is.
Right.
But it's look, we're this is reasonable, and we could charge you this, and we're not. So, and it's been that way for decades.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah. So.
Well, it was great to see your faces, and thanks again for the collaboration and the input. I think this is an awesome resource. I mean, I get people reach out to me that aren't able to be on the calls, but they've watched the video and they're really getting something out of it. So I love that we're doing this because I think it's just creating a resource. And just a reminder too, if you guys haven't noticed, we also write up a blog summarizing all the ideas that everyone gives and the resources and everything. And we push that out as well. So if you ever want to go back and reference anything, you can always go take a quick look at that blog or look at the video. And then we also have our LinkedIn group too, or anything that pops up, that you've bumped into a resource or anything in between our calls, that you're always welcome to collaborate there as well. So try to use this, time in as many different formats as possible that appeals to where people are at and what they're able to consume. So anyway, appreciate you all sharing and giving up your time, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Right.
Thanks all.
Thank you.